want to go ahead and get started. First of all, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first Augusta, Georgia Land Bank meeting of the year. So we are very happy that God has allowed us to see another year and to go about the business of taking tax delinquent, underutilized, and vacant properties and getting them back onto the tax roll, as is our mission. And we're thankful that you ladies and gentlemen are here to get that done with us. As is our tradition, we're going to start with introductions. I will introduce myself and call everybody. So call your name if you will introduce yourself. I certainly appreciate it. I am Chris Johnson. I'm Chief Deputy Tax Commissioner and Chairman of Augusta, Georgia Land Bank. Lisa?
My name is Lisa Williams. I'm the coordinator for the Augusta, Georgia Land Bank Authority.
Ashley and Erica?
Ashley Neville, Tax Commissioner's Office. Erica Bowers, Tax Commissioner's Office.
Duantavis, I'm sorry.
Hey, sorry, I had to unmute this. I'm Duantavis Schultz. I am CEO of CD Capital Investment Group, and I'm business partners with Firm Engineering and Construction.
Okay. Alvino?
Alvino Ross, Chief Appraiser, Richmond County Board of Assessors.
Rob?
Rob Sherman, Director of Planning and Development.
Scott? Scott, you muted?
Sorry about that. That's my headphones. Scott Roundtree, Deputy Chief Appraiser, the Board of Assessors.
Okay. Chuck?
Charles Williams, Richmond County Tax Commissioner's Office.
Okay. Sean?
Sean Edwards, Executive Director, Land Bank Authority.
Hawthorne?
Hawthorne Welsh, Director of Housing and Community Development.
Commissioner Johnson?
I'm Jordan Johnson, your District 1 Commissioner.
Administrator Odie?
Odie Donald, Augusta, Georgia Administrator.
Miss Karen Gordon?
Karen Gordon, Garden City Jazz and Gordon Music Group.
Okay.
Board member, Land Bank Authority.
Did I miss anyone? Okay, before I go to the agenda item, first thing, I want to welcome our new ex officio member, Commissioner Jordan Johnson, who joins us today. We're very happy to have you here with us, and we look forward to the work that we're going to be able to get accomplished this year. Anything you'd like to say, Commissioner?
Just, I'll echo what you said. It's great to be a part of such a body that does such great work. And I hope that I could be of an assistance to you from the commission. And I look forward to working with all of you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And to thank you. And to both you and Administrator Donald, I would like to schedule one, they like to call it the Chris Johnson tour. But if your gentleman's schedule permits, I would like to take you around town and show you some of the things that we've done, show you some of the things that we're doing, and just kind of give you an opportunity to pick what little brain I have, and I get a chance to pick yours. So I will be getting back to both of you gentlemen to see if we can get that accomplished. Also, today is the last, and it's hard for me to say, I want to have to say it, but it is what it is. Congratulations, and I'm very sorry that this is the last meeting with Mr. Alvino Ross, our Chief Appraiser. Alvino has been, and I'll say it again on Thursday in a little more detail, but Alvino has been extremely key to the success that we have had over the past few years as a land bank. As a matter of fact, without him, much of what we have been able to get accomplished, we would not have been able to get accomplished. And I'm not saying that because he's leaving. I'm saying it because it's the truth. He can deny it all he wants, but he knows it's true. I appreciate his humility, but I'm not the only one who knows on this call who knows that it's true. But we are very and grateful to have served with and had him a part of this board. And he's going to be greatly missed. He is got some big shoes to fill, but he has assigned someone as his designee, who I think is going to do a great job, and that is Mr. Scott Roundtree. And so with sorrow and happiness for him and his new endeavors as he and B get together and travel the world, I want to say thank you and Godspeed to Alvino. And I want to say welcome to Scott. And Alvino, you know that we got something coming from the board to you. And we'll talk more about that on Thursday. But is there anything you'd like to tell us?
Well, first of all, Mr. Chairman, thank you for your kind words. It has been a pleasure. Under the leadership that's in place now, forging forward, including you, Mr. Manchin, we've come a long way. Mr. Hawthorne-Welcher, your team has certainly been a supplement. You allowed us to take from your ranks the current director. And I think, okay, we stole him. And at the end of the day, it's one team. I keep reminding my people over here, all components of the governing body is still one team. I am very pleased to have been a part of the success that the Land Bank has achieved since the restructuring took place with the support of the governing body. Under your leadership, Mr. Chairman, you have stirred us down the right course. We're closer to the position that is desired. Commissioner Jordan, I believe you are correct. You can be a vital part of that communication chain between this commission and this board. Surely, some of us, we do work and it's not really seen, but this is a part of the sticks coming up out of the ground, and everyone should be proud of what you've been able to produce. Lisa?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for this rock you sent over here.
You are very welcome.
Hey, I really appreciate it. It would go with me and be a part of me going forward. I can look at it and be reminded, even though I don't need it, or the wonderful folks I've got an opportunity to work with. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to shut up so you can get to the business at hand. But again, thank you for your kindness and the opportunity to serve with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alvino.
Thank you, Lisa.
At this time, we're going to move forward with the agenda items. Lisa has sent each of you a copy of the meeting minutes from December 16th. If you have not had an opportunity to look over those, I want to give you a moment or two to look over those meeting minutes, and then I will accept a motion from the floor.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move for approving the minutes of December 16th, 2020 with any necessary correction.
I'll second it.
That motion has been made and properly seconded to accept the meeting minutes from December 16th, 2020 with any necessary improvements. Do I have any opposals? Do I have any nays? Any nays? Have any nays? Okay, then that item is approved. At this time, we'll go into our request for approval. I'm do items 2A and 2B, Mr. Edwards. That is to approve the purchase and sale of 1307 12th Street and 1309 12th Street to Mr. Shannar Trotty.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes.
I'm just going to the property address. And is everyone able to now see the intersection of Florence Street and 12th Street?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So Mr. Shannar Trotty is the property owner of the business that's located at 1208 Florence, known as the Eatery Restaurant. The actual physical address of the building, excuse me, is 1301 12th, but there's a property that is also on the parcel 1208. Essentially, Mr. Trotty has closed that restaurant some time ago during the revitalization project that Mr. Welcher's department heads up, but with plans at one day reopening it. He does have several tenants upstairs. There are individuals who work down at Plant Vogel, and while considering the reopen or relaunch of his restaurant, also made mention of a desire to be able to expand his apartment units. We then received the opportunity to acquire 1309 12th Street, which I can't seem to touch because of my finger. 1309 12th Street, which is now in land bank inventory. But to be able to do the project Mr. Trotter discussed, that required the cooperation and partnership with the housing department, being that 1307 is what we were holding for Mr. Welcher. We've since been able to get to an agreement. Mr. Welcher plans to sell that property to Mr. Trotty. And so item A and item B would essentially take those two parcels, hold them in a depository agreement so that Mr. Trotty has opportunity in order to work through planning department for what his project looks like, to expand the eatery on the first floor, expand apartments on the second floor in order to face 12th Street with adequate parking to meet current ordinance requirements. There has been an investor that has already approached Mr. Trotty. And so the recommendation from staff at this point is to, again, put 1307 and 1309 in a depository agreement until such time as an investor shows proof of funding to back Mr. Trotty's project, and planning has approved everything necessary for him to be able to get a building permit. We anticipate being no longer than 12 months.
Sean, for the purpose of Commissioner Johnson and for Scott, would you explain what the depository agreement is?
Yes, sir. So we put together your depository agreement program for the purpose of ensuring that nonprofits, essentially, but in some instances, for-profit companies, have the opportunity to take property that they own, put it into the name of the land bank under a temporary hold while they get their development plan funding in place or work through issues that come up in the planning and permitting process. In this instance, again, the eatery is a closed business, although there are residential units upstairs, but the expansion of that project is one that's going to require some time. There's going to need to be an architect that is procured in order to be able to assist with that, some recombination of property, definitely heavy work with the planning department on parking requirements, since there won't be any allowed on 12th Street. So Trotty's going to need to have some parking laid in on the back end of 1309. We've also had a conversation with the nonprofit at 1210 Florence for the possible acquisition of that to help with the parking. But back to the chairman's question, the depository agreement gives those entities, organizations, an opportunity in order to have the land bank hold property as they work through their plan. We have to make sure that if we accept the property in, one, of course, board approval is required. But then secondly, that it's going to make sense for our mission of removing blight, dealing with vacancy, abandonment, and assisting the HCD department with the creation of services in the community or affordable housing. And so the ambition here is the service end. If the eatery reopens as is expected, it provides one more retail service in the Laney Walker Bethlehem revitalization area, assists Mr. Welcher with his mission of ensuring that those individuals moving in and remaining in the community have services available to them. And with there being some federal requirements already tied to the eatery, as I've been made aware, it further reiterates or supports funding that's already gone into that location. So we would be willing to hold the property for anyone up to 24 months, according to the depository agreement guidelines. We're not requesting that for this project, as an investor has already stepped to the table. So we're only requesting a 12-month hold here.
And what is the compensation to the land bank when you have a depository agreement?
At the end of the depository time, when property is transferred back to the property owner, of course, the land bank receives its application and admin fees. But being that this is not a residential project, it is commercial, we will enter into an agreement with Mr. Trotty and his investor on what the sales price of these properties will be. Of course, we'll compensate the HCD department in order to be able to have full control of 1307. But at the time of getting ready to transfer property to the investor or bank that will hold title, we'll have those monies passed through with a board approval, because again, it's commercial. And our commercial policy says that we can charge based upon the size of the project and not the assessed value of the parcel itself.
Okay. Any questions? Board members, ex officios, any questions?
Yeah, I have a comment, if I may.
Yes, sir, Mr. Webster.
So I just wanted to sort of reiterate and show support for what we were doing. And of course, I have, my boss, direct boss, the administrator on, as well as commissioner as well. But I thought it was important to understand that as Mr. Ross indicated, it is a true partnership. Even though we might claw behind closed doors sometimes, it is still a partnership, and it is unison. And knowing that fact that, HCD, my thoughts for 1307 were one of those infill type of developments where we would come and, provide some type of emergency housing or affordable housing using an infill concept. However, after conversation, with the two mainstays, with Sean and mainly with Chris, I understand that sometimes, we have to sort of back up for a greater whole. And understanding the fact that they had conversation with Mr. Trotty, I just want to say that I pledge my full support behind what we're doing. I'm also willing to, on this property, I know indicated after hearing Director Edwards just speak about the time frame that it's going to take to really move from pre-development to construction. I'm willing also to extend that time frame that we originally talked about from 6 months to 12 months. That gives the developer a little bit more time to be able to move from pre-development to development stage. So let me just go on the record to say that we're all one team, and I want to be able to ensure that we're able to help how we can. So I'm willing to amend, even though we don't have an agreement yet. I'm just willing to amend, verbally from 6 months to 12 to allow for pre-development to development.
That sounds great. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to sell the properties at 1307 and 1309 12th Street to Mr. Shenard Trotty. Those properties will be held in a depository agreement with the land bank until such time that the final sale is to occur. All in favor? I'm actually going to call by name since this is a purchase. Mr. Donald?
Yes.
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
And it is a yes for me. So the yays have it. Okay, item 2C, approved sale of the properties, Augusta, Georgia Land Bank Authority owned properties, 11 of them at the below addresses to Capital Investment Group. Mr. Dontavius is going to do a presentation on that. Those properties, exact properties are 3 Sherman Street, 9 Sherman Street, 17 Sherman Street, 19 Sherman Street, 20 Sherman Street, 22 Sherman Street, 26 Sherman Street, 33, 34, 35, and 36 Sherman Street. So essentially that whole street. Mr. Edwards and Mr. Coach, would y'all go ahead and talk about those properties, please?
Yes, sir. I'll start off and then I'll turn it over to Dante. We've had the opportunity in order to be able to tour he and his team around and showcase what's going on in Laney Walker and Bethlehem, that the city has made possible, supporting the housing department in this revitalization effort. And from the moment they saw Twig Circle, the development plan for Boyd Lane, what was going on McQueen Court, the number of acquisitions that this board had trusted me to move forward to acquire on Maple and Sherman Street, they already knew that it was going to be something they felt that their product would complement, that they'd be able to work with the existing pattern book and the HCD department in order to put a complementary product on the ground. And they were excited. We have since made contact with several private property owners who were non-tax delinquent on Sherman Street in order to help them in their acquisitions plan. But at this point, they have not yet indicated that there's any difficulty with them moving forward with the acquisition of the parcels we already had in inventory. And so I'll turn it over to Dante in order to be able to speak about their plan. Jeff, I may need some assistance if Dante can't be given the opportunity to share his screen for PowerPoint. I may have to do it for mine. So if you could just
everybody
let us know
has
how we need.
everybody has access to share right now.
Okay.
Okay, fantastic.
All right, now I gotta, okay, how do I share my, okay, I see a share screen, okay.
Yeah, you hit share screen and then you just you can pick the application you want to share or the screen you want to share, either one. Like if you don't want to share your whole screen, you can pick just.
Well,
it should show you a window.
Okay, I see.
Which thing to share.
Sorry, I'm trying to. Not letting me. Can you guys see my screen? No,
not yet.
So when you hit share, it should pop up and show you some applications and screens and stuff that you have open.
Yeah, but all of mine have a like emergency signal on them, like a exclamation point and a triangle.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. To select multiple windows. Share. It's not letting me share. Open system preferences. Sorry, I'm sorry about this. I honestly I thought that it would be already present, like somebody would already have it. I didn't know I would have to pull it up.
Okay. You want Sean to Sean, you want to pull up the area in question?
Yeah, you might just want to get somebody else to pull it up if they have what you're trying to show.
Yeah, Mr. Edwards has it in his email. Open system preferences.
He's pulling it up now.
Okay.
You back off, Sean. Back to us. While Sean is pulling that up, for those who are just hearing about the work that's going on, as you well know, Housing and Community Development has been working in the Twigg Street MLK area from the roundabout at MLK and Wrightsboro Road all the way down to MLK and Pickett.
All right, is it up? Can you guys see it now?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, boom, figured that out.
And you go ahead and I'll explain that portion later.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you didn't. You go right ahead.
Okay, well, just a bit about ourselves. We are a Atlanta-based investment company, and in Atlanta, we work on several projects, really mainly on the construction side. We have a few lots up here that we are developing ourselves in the Tucker area, in the downtown Atlanta area, 30318. And we are young in this on the investment side, but experienced on the engineering and construction side. I myself, I'm 27. My business partners are 65 and 56, and they have over combined 60 years experience in construction and engineering. And I'll just go over briefly our plans and our visions as far as what we stand for as a capital investment group. Our vision is to change lives and transform communities. Affordable housing to ensure that every citizen in regions and regardless of economic standards of where we work, that we're all given opportunities to reach their fullest potential via community. While our primary lines of business involve brick and mortar and building, our ultimate goal is to help citizens realize their community's fullest potential. We are passionate about our work, and as we move forward with our mission, we are open to taking calculated risks as we learn and grow from these experiences. Here are our state contractor licenses and identifications. And I'll jump right into our building plans. Our building plans are consistent throughout the project with about 3 to 4 simple 1,300 to 1,800 square foot homes, because those are really the size of the homes when we when we had our assessor take a look at the land, and those are pretty much the size of the homes that were going. We are proposing the city planning that we are able to split lot number 3, which I could pull up, into 2 parcels. Lot number 3 has a 96-foot frontage that would allow us to partition it into 2 48-foot frontages with a width of 68 feet, 68 and a half feet. If we cannot get those lots approved to split lot 3 into 2 parcels, we would like to propose that we offer to build duplex style bungalows in hopes of supplementing some of the affordable housing shortage that you guys have. So versus building one home on a 96-foot frontage, we would build a duplex, and it would allow for us to do 2 family homes under the affordable care. And we are also proposing that lot 17 and 19, which have, lot 17 has a 71-foot frontage and lot 19 has a 19-foot frontage. And we want to combine them to get a total frontage of 71 feet. Oh, hold on, I read it all the way wrong, I apologize. We are proposing to city plan that we combine lots 17 and 19 to create a 71-foot frontage that would allow for us to partition them into 2 35-foot frontage properties with a 90-foot width. These are our house plans, which are consistent of what we saw already being built in the neighborhood. Simple bungalows with 26-foot frontage, 60-foot lengths, 14-foot square footage. Most of the lots on Sherman are 38-foot in front, and we are under zone 1 RC, which will allow us to do minimum of 5-foot side setbacks. So all of these plans, these are the floor plans, will allow us to take advantage of the lot sizes that we have available to us on Sherman. This is our 2-level plan. This is our 1-level plan. And this is our home plan for the duplex frontage that would allow us to do affordable housing.
And Dante, how many do you expect? But doesn't matter which it is, whether it's duplex, a single floor or 2-floor. In total, about how many structures do you plan to build?
Out of the 11 lots, it depends, because we're out of the 11. If we're not able to combine lot 17 and 19, we will only be able to 10 structures. But if we are allowed to split lot 3 and combine lot 17 and 19, we'll be able to do 11 structures.
And what's the average selling price of those structures? What's the expected selling?
Expected selling price is $95 to $1 a square foot. $95 to $100 a square foot.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Which was what we saw, after we had everything appraised and did our comps in the area, that's what most things are going for. Except for situations like Heritage Pine, where like at the beginning, things kind of had a lower sale for square footage. And then when you got towards the end of the block, everything kind of stabilized with the people coming in and paying $220, $240 for their homes, when the people at the front with the same type of square footage only paid, I think it was $140. So that's kind of our plan. Our plans is to really start with 1, 2, and then build our way up, because we still have lots to acquire for us to really be able to bring our vision to life. Lot 28, lot 24, lot 3.5, lot 8, lot 8.5. Those are still lots that we have to talk to non-tax delinquent property holders and try to acquire them so that we can really take the entire area and really revitalize it all the way through. But as of right now, we through this acquisition, we acquiring about 80 to 90% of what we need to get our vision done.
Understood.
And as we continue to go down, these are each lot we just went through and put the zoning, the frontage, the widths, and the list. Okay, this one doesn't have the plan for the lots, but lots Can you guys see this? Or could you only see the PowerPoint?
You can only see the PowerPoint.
Okay, hold on.
Chairman, do we hold our questions until the end, or are we able to inquire now?
Administrator, I think you can go ahead and ask the question now.
And while you're on the subject of the acquisitions, it looks like you've got about 80% of what you're looking for your total project, but assuming that you're not able to acquire the other 20%, what's the contingency plan there?
We have, as of right now, we have one contingency, and that contingency is to offer funds to the property owners to, in lack of better words, and kind of to set their homes up a little bit better so that it doesn't tear down what we're trying to do. But it's only, all of them are vacant lots besides, I believe, 11 or 13.
So in other words, you would offer some type of facade grant for them to do the exterior of their home?
Yes, exactly. But I believe that there is only one home there besides, I believe, 18 and 16 where people are still living. But other than that, everything else was dilapidated structures, overgrown yards and things of that nature.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Go right ahead.
So it's always been the intention as we've driven down Sherman Street with multiple prospects that the number of vacant lots that are in the land bank may not be sufficient in order to give the quality project to make the numbers work. So there's been discussion and conversation with the church that is the primary property owner aside from us, owning mostly right there at the corner of Maple and Sherman, and discussion with the two renters and the owners of their parcels that exist on the street going closer to Railroad Avenue. So if in the event that no property owner, and we've had discussions with the second majority one being the church, of course, third majority being a single family, the Tutt family, we've had some discussions with them about 5 pieces of property that they own. We've also had individual conversations with one other property owner. So we're in the position right now that we feel really good that CD will be able to get everything that they need. But if they only are able to work with what is land bank owned, that's going to mean that there's going to have to be a different type of plan submitted to planning to be able to ensure that their unit count makes sense, that it complements what's already happening on Twigs, and that their sales prices will be able to stay in line. We've never taken anyone down Maple or down Sherman, ignoring the fact that there are properties that have city funding in them and headed by Mr. Welch's department for sale, not even across the street, but directly to their front along Twigs. So we understand that it's got to be a complement to the entire project, and it can't undermine by way of sales price, nor unit count or design what he's got going. So the ambition is to get those privately owned properties, and the conversations have gone well, but we're prepared to make modifications as necessary.
Administrator, did that answer your question?
Hey, Chairman.
Realized I was muted. Yeah, it did. That was helpful too, to know that there are some contingencies in acquiring these other areas, both by the gentleman out of Atlanta as well as through the land bank's effort. So I'm fine with that.
Rob?
Hey, Chairman. So a couple of comments from the planning office. It's an interesting project, a concept that you have. I think that we probably need to meet on the lots, especially the lots where you want to reconfigure. The lots of record that you're going to build on, that can be done, but where you're going to combine lots or create new lots that are going to be, I think you said the zoning is R1C. So for a new lot, that requires 60 feet of frontage. We may have to look at rezoning. Just probably need to meet and try to figure out what all would need you would need to do as far as the zoning goes.
Okay, thank you, Rob. And I think Sean will be responsible for getting with with Dante and getting with you to get a meeting set up for that.
Okay.
Any additional questions? Before I take a motion, I just wanted to finish what I was saying earlier. Hawthorne and his group have done an excellent job of the work that they're doing along MLK, as well as the whole Wrightsboro Road corridor. And some time ago, Sean had a desire. We had several burnout homes on Sherman, as well as dilapidated houses there in the Maple Street. And so he came to the board and asked us to go ahead and acquire these properties before we ever had anyone who had expressed any interest. As he noted earlier, Sean noted earlier, we've had the opportunity to tour several groups in that area, and there's some work that's going on in Maple as well. As a matter of fact, Dante actually wanted to get the properties on Maple, but he was competing with someone else. But they were so interested in getting some houses on the ground in the area that they asked us to purchase those 11 lots on Sherman Street. And all of this, again, is to complement what Hawthorne is already doing on Ash, as well as on MLK and the Wrightsboro Road corridor. So I wanted to make sure that, one, you understand that what we're doing is complementing what the city has already been doing for quite some time. And number two, to let you know that Maple Street is coming. So all of that having been said, do I have a motion?
Chairman, I think I'm ready to make a motion, but I want to ask one more question to the applicant. Do you want to meet and make certain that you can use the properties the way you're presenting it before we go through with a motion, or a motion subject to you being able to use them the way you want?
Well, we have our old contingencies if we cannot partition the lots.
Okay.
So if we are not able to get that approved through zoning or rezoning or through planning, then we have a contingency of what we would build and how we would use the lots to continue to bring our vision to life.
Okay. And one
I'm sorry.
more comment, Chairman. I'm thinking this is in line with what Hawthorne and his group are doing.
That is correct.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the sale.
Do I have a second? Don't be shy.
Second, Karen.
Okay. Motion has been made and properly seconded to sell the 11 lots on Sherman Street to Devontae and Ike of CD Capital Investment Group. I will call by name all of those who are in favor. Yes, sir. Yes,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
my apologies, sir. I tried to get in before the motion was made and properly seconded, so please forgive me. Mr. Sherman, if you would not mind making an amendment to your motion, although the properties are in the land bank, the liens that were once held against them were never removed. And so if you wouldn't mind amending your motion to sell the properties, but to also remove the associated liens, that would bring the sales price in line.
And the liens are for demo or cleanup?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll make that motion with those subject to removing the liens.
And Sean, what are the price of the lots?
Total of the pricing is $27,465, and the check has already been received.
$27,465?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So again, motion has been made and properly seconded to sell the lots. No, we have an amended motion. Do I have a second for the amended motion?
Second.
Motion has been made and second to sell the 11 lots on Sherman Street to CD Capital Investment for $27,465 with the liens being removed, the city liens being removed. I'll call you by name. All in favor, Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman,
Yes.
Mr. Donald, Administrator Donald.
Did you hear me? I said yes.
Okay, and Ms. Gordon,
Yes.
and a yes from me. That has been approved. That has been unanimously approved. We'll go to the next item. Item D, approve owner request to donate parcel located at 1010 8th Street. Mr. Edwards.
Yes, sir. Jeff, I'm trying to share my screen. It's saying that I cannot.
I'll try it
Okay,
again
there
now
we go.
that the other one's down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay,
can I
is
make
everyone able to?
statement
I'm
while
sorry.
Sean queuing up?
Yes, go right ahead, Hawthorne.
I just want to, on that last item that we just came off of,
Yeah.
just want to pledge our support where necessary as well to the developer. Access, to my team where necessary, of course, through Sean. When they start talking about comps and those things, or any help that they may need facilitating through different city departments. So I just pledge my support that way as well.
We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
As always, Mr. Walsh already knows I'll be calling your staff and asking for help. So 1010 8th Street, property owner is a trust. The interest in this area is not so much that location, but the accessibility to Dyess Park. We have worked with a development partner that's working with the HCD department now in order to be able to acquire land adjacent to Dyess Park for the purpose of building what will be the James Apartments. And they've been working constantly with the planning department around the Hopkins Street acquisitions that they have to get their parking requirements met. I had the opportunity in order to speak briefly last week with the Recreation and Parks Department Director, Mr. Maurice McDowell, just about future plans of Dyess Park. Now that the SPLOST referendum or recommendation from Administrator Donald has moved forward and would be going to the March 16th vote for the public, just about his plans for those improvements with the potential of an additional $6 million going into the pot. And land acquisition becomes very important for Director McDowell, simply because Dyess Park has future potential if we're successful in getting land from Atlanta Gas and Light, in order to make it a destination type park that is really beneficial to the corridors of James Brown and 8th that Mr. Welcher needs to accent as part of the James Brown Trail, that Dyess Park would need in order to be a real green space and entryway into the Midtown area. City already owns some property along Walton Way and King Street. Land Bank owns some scattered parcels along Twiggs. And so this is just one more piece of property that potentially can be acquired to help to complement those future projects. There is a lien held against the property that we would ask to be forgiven if you vote to accept the donation. But as I noted, there is not a plan in place at this point to do something specific with 1010. It becomes part of a long-term vision of opportunity between Parks and Recreation, Housing and Community Development, and the Land Bank to make something significant of the Dyess Park project once funded through SPLOST. So staff recommendation is to accept the donation pending release of any liens.
Questions?
Mr. Chairman, to the director, are you aware of the amount of the lien, sir?
Yes, sir. That is $1,212.26.
How many years?
Is that a lien or is that delinquency?
That's a lien.
Is there any delinquency?
Yeah, I'll tell you in a second.
And what's the source of the lien, sir?
Vacant lots.
So really,
Property owners, I'm sorry, sir.
I was just going to say, so it looks like they just haven't paid the most recent tax bill of $380.42. And then of course the lien is a little over $1,200. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Ross.
I'm good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second. A motion has been approved and properly seconded to accept the parcel at 1010 8th Street to be placed into the land bank for further city use. I'll call by name. Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Mr. Donald?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
And as a yes for me, that is unanimous. Item E, approve request.
Chris,
Yes,
my apologies. I didn't hear the person that seconded that motion.
that was Rob.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Item E, approve request from James Nault, Castle Pines MHP Incorporated for assistance with foreclosure on a parcel located at 3958 Deborah Street. Mr. Edwards?
Yes, sir. Are y'all still able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Knott contacted our office after having communicated with Central Services. As the majority of the board is aware, as Administrator O'Donnell, I'm sure now is aware, and as Commissioner Johnson, I'm sure by now is aware, Central Services is the city department that handles your city inventory. They expressed an interest in purchasing 3962 Deborah Street and was working through Mrs. Dawson's process, completing paperwork, which then would be sent as an email request to each department director, see if there was an interest in that particular parcel, and then moving that to one of three disposition options that they have available, either to procure a real estate brokerage firm, to go to a public auction, or to transfer the parcel to the land bank in executive session approved by commission. Mr. Knott contacted us, however, and stated that he was not aware that the land bank and the city were different. And so that being the case, he thought that he'd be in a position to acquire 3962 in that same process, and realized that that was not going to be the case once notified by Ms. Farley, who works in works in Mrs. Dawson's office. So he needs to now foreclose on 3958 in order to be able to have the adjacent parcel that he needs to the city acquisition of 3962. He is the adjacent property owner of 4005. He is also the owner of the large parcel with property address 3866, and operates the Castle Pines mobile home development that has individual addresses as I'm identifying those for you now. His development plan upon acquisition of the city parcel, as well as successful foreclosure, would be to expand his mobile home development. He'll stay consistent in his design. He'll stay compliant with planning. So the foreclosure becomes essential for his purchase of the city-owned property. I've had a chance to speak with Mrs. Dawson. She is fine with us moving forward, presenting in legal session upon completion of the foreclosure process of 3958 to assist Mr. Knott in his acquisition of the city property, and prepared to present that at that time. So we're in a position at this point, we're recommending approval to move forward with foreclosure with a contingency. We have in our policies and procedures that a lien would be placed against the property as proof of development activity. And the development activity that we're requesting of the board is the successful acquisition of the city property. Reason being is Mr. Nault has no use for 3958 without getting 62, and no use for 62 if he doesn't get 58. So we're requesting that you approve the sale. We will move forward with the foreclosure, but if he's unsuccessful in being able to get the property, we'd understand he's not going to move forward with the city purchase. And so we'd only want to count development activity as the acquisition of the city parcel as opposed to him having to start development.
Sean, what's the
Ahead,
delinquency? What's the delinquency on 58? What if we're going to foreclose on that? What's the delinquency?
$3,496.
And as you can see, sir, it's
3,400.
multiple years.
Okay, so it hadn't been paid since at least prior to 13. Okay, got it. Are there any questions? Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I so moved. Look like I get the opportunity to make all motions today. Am I being granted some special privilege?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to foreclose on the property at 3958 Deborah Street to Mr. James Nault with the contingency that he is able to acquire 3962 from the city of Augusta. All in favor, I will call by name. Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Donald?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
And it is a yes for me. That vote that is approved unanimously. Okay, we have 2 items for discussion. Mr. Edwards, you had an item that you were going to follow up on, tax abatement.
Yes, sir. Let me stop the screen share. Okay. Yes, sir. So last month, we gave the board an update on 3 processes that were moving forward that included the tax abatement incentive program. And so we want to be able to give further update now, having had more conversation with one group in particular. We'll hold the location for the development, but as you are aware from the policy that you approved, essentially a market rate developer comes to the land bank requesting assistance with taxes as a means to fill a development gap. And in exchange for receiving that assistance, puts down a prorated share of affordable apartment units to complement the needs of the HCD department to be able to ensure that citizens that aren't upper income continue to be able to live in our community and take advantage of all of the opportunities that Augusta has to offer. We've taken one more step closer to locking in enough information in a performer to be able to go into closed session with you sometime in our next board meeting, we hope, but worst case by March. To their own admission, this group has continued to move forward with their private rate development first and foremost, and I understand why. But they have not lagged ridiculously on the affordable units. We can say that it is the parcel at 400 East Boundary that is currently in land bank inventory, which again is one that you trusted me to be able to move forward to acquire. I've had conversations with their lead GC as well as the primary investment partner that's backing their project. Their hope is to be able to do greater than a prorated share. Their market rate unit count has gone down from 177 to 163. So our unit count on affordable will be no less than 32 units. But what it does is it's going to put us in a position where you'll be able to see a private market rate development come out of the ground and have that same group immediately thereafter gets the approval through planning in order to be able to put some affordable units on the east side of town as well. So as I said, I hope that by next month, we're in a position in order to be able to go into closed session so that you could be made fully aware of both of those projects, ask any questions of both sides of it, and then put in the expectations for timelines and development. There is no request for funding coming from the city to do either project. The tax incentive program that you approved is all that was necessary for the private group who was prepared to fund their project in full to incentivize themselves in order to be able to put affordable housing on the ground. And that was the hope and ambition in creating the project itself, is to be able to help to rev up the efforts of the HCD department with private money and not need for anything to come through from a political standpoint. We knew that private investors could help Augusta reach its affordable housing or meet the need for additional affordable housing. They had to find the right incentive in order to do so. And so if we're in a position next month, worst case March, to bring this before you and get your full support, after that point, we then of course would go public with the information so that the community can be made aware that you have for-profit market rate developers who've committed themselves to ensuring that affordable housing will also be built out of their own pocket and not on the back of the city. Thank you, sir.
Any questions of Mr. Edwards? Then we'll accept that as information. Last item, foreclosures and donation. Mr. Manton.
Yes, good afternoon. How's everybody? We can just kind of jump to the spreadsheet Ms. Williams sent out to everybody this morning if you want to follow along with the foreclosures. We can start. We got about 53 that are somewhat up in the air. Starting at number 33, we are getting ready to sell the 2058 Clark Road and 503 13th Street, along with several properties we foreclosed on behalf of Turn Back the Block. So expect to have some good revenue coming to the land bank shortly on those. We have a big sale coming up in February, starting at number 35 through number 45. And then since the beginning of the year, it looks like we have about 8 to 10 new foreclosures that have been filed December, January. So already busy. Any questions? All right, that's it.
Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for all the work that you have done, and we for the work that we plan to get done this year, as you see with Mr. Manton's list, along with the things that Sean has talked about. Matter of fact, Hawthorne's got some stuff that we got to discuss that you'll probably hear about next month. He's got some things going on. There's just a lot going on with the land bank and with the partners that we have, both intergovernmental as well as private developers. We thank you for all the assistance that you have, and we look forward to a prosperous new year. Do any questions or comments before we adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, I have just one thing to say to Mr. Ross.
Yes, sir.
We have enjoyed having you. I've enjoyed working with you on the board. Don't miss seeing you around. Stay in touch.
On a personal privilege, Mr. Chairman, for 30 seconds.
Brandon?
After hearing all this great news today, Commissioner Johnson, I'm even considering rescinding my notice of resignation. Considering
look, you may have support. Look, you got support in one.
Hey, considering it, Mr. Donald,
I'm just one commissioner.
Would I have your support if I consider that, sir?
You know you're going to enjoy your trip.
Oh, I'll be back. Some may not be that happy about it, but it's been a joy. I think we're poised. What a team to move to some new levels. The early year battles are behind us. Again, Chris, kudos, man, for putting up with all of us and moving us forward. To Director Edwards and your team, Lisa, I hope in the coming months we're able to give you reinforcements to expand what you're doing. To Mr. Manson, Your legal guidance has kept us out of trouble thus far, so don't fellas going forward. To the TCO team, Charles and Elise, you guys, most folks don't know the value of what you do in the background, but we know what you do, and thank you. Mr. Donald, have you agreed to accept my consideration yet, sir? Well, I would have to ask certain commissioners whether or not I got 6 votes first. Thanks a lot, guys. Really, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you to Alvina.
Hey, Rob.
Thank y'all, everyone.
Catch up with me.
I will.
Not too soon.
Bye, guys.
Thank y'all very much.
Hawthorne.